Kind of a weird video for a ignition switch, an ignition switch problem. So the other day when I was driving around, my truck ended up like just kind of. I tried turning it on. It turned on real good, and then when I looked at the dashboard, my speedometer wasn't working. The RPM gauge wasn't working, and the light indication for the gears to let you know what gear you're in, it wasn't on either. When I put it in drive, because I could still feel it. I could still feel it when I would put it in drive. When I put it in drive, it felt like if I was like pulling something heavy, you know, like no power, loss of power. But after it got going, you know, it felt normal. So I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I looked online. I looked on YouTube first. Didn't find any videos on there. Didn't find any videos on there. And the only thing that I could find was a couple of forums and a couple of guys that had the same problems. I scrolled down, and I usually try to read the comments to see if anybody had anything to say, or to see if the guy got that if he got it fixed. Well, one mechanic said online that usually what happens is with those older trucks, that those wirings underneath the dash or the steering wheel, they get dirty. So like if you leave your window open, I left my window open a couple of times when it rained, and then the next day it was hot, so all the condensation from the vehicle and all the dust in the vehicle kind of will get onto how do you say it, like it would I guess you could say it would just be dirty, so there wasn't any contact on there. So he said what he's done was he's got some electrical tape, and electrical tape, wow, sorry guys, electrical spray, and you can get it at any auto parts store. What I did was I took the bottom part of the steering wheel column down, and where all the wires were at, wherever there was a plug that it plugged into, I sprayed that to make sure I got everything cleaned off. And I noticed on the back of it there was a lot of dirt on one of them, so I sprayed that off. I also sprayed inside the key cylinder where you put where you stick the key in there. Sprayed it in there as well. Waited about 10 minutes or so, jiggled the key and turned it on. And the minute I turned it on, everything came back. The light came back on. The gauge for the speedometer was moving, and the RPM throttle was going up and down. Now it was, since I drove it like that for a while, I guess the computer kind of got. I guess the computer was like, it wasn't like it hadn't corrected yet. So what I did, it's just my preference. I unplugged the battery after I did all that. I unplugged the battery. Make sure the car's off too, because you don't want to be spraying that stuff with the car on. You know what I mean? And it just fries something else out. So just spray it with the car off, and then after that try turning it on. Give it like 5-10 minutes, turn it on, see if it works. And if it does work, I would suggest you to unplug the battery for like 10-15 minutes. That way it'll reset. And the computer will everything will reset on the computer. And this is for the ignition switch. Yeah, because a lot of guys were saying that they did a whole transmission swap out, or that they were changing out the sensors in the transmission. And I'm like, well, I don't got all that kind of money to be trying to do a transmission swap or rebuild or swapping out sensors or taking it to a shop and have them tell me what's wrong with it. And I almost went to the store and paid $120 for a new ignition switch. When I saw what that guy wrote, I'm like, well, let me go check. $10? Yeah, I got $10. Let me go and get that stuff and spray and see what happens. What do you know? $10. Bought that spray, sprayed it, everything started working again, and look, I don't have to pay $120. So If anybody has that kind of problem, I would suggest go that route first. I didn't check the codes. My gauge did come on, but the minute that I cleaned it and everything turned back on, the gauges came off. So just leave any comments or if you have any questions.